in your book, When, you talk about timing and patterns and intrinsic motivation toward activity and also creative times of the day. And also the effects of the time of day on performance. So in our new normal, have you had thoughts about how this plays out in 2020, and then maybe thoughts that you might have?
Yeah, I mean, I think again, let's be super practical about this. So here's what we know. There is in many ways a hidden pattern of the day that has a big effect on our mood and a big effect on our performance. And typically we move through the day. About 80% of us move through the day in this order: a peak early in the day, a trough in the middle of the day, and a recovery period late in the day. Peak, trough, recovery. Now, about 20% of us don't abide by that. 20% of us are night owls, people who have what's called, chronobiologists call an evening chronotype. They naturally wake up late and go to sleep late. Those folks are much more complicated. Those folks hit their peak much later in the day. Okay, so we have these three stages of a day: peak, trough, recovery. Here's what we know. During the peak, which for most of us is early in the day, that's when we are most vigilant. That's when we are most vigilant. What does it mean to be vigilant? Vigilant means you're able to bat away distractions. So that makes, according to this, again, I'm skipping the science part of it, but just imagine this, a foundation of science here. That makes the peak the best time for what social psychologists call analytic work. Analytic work is simply work that requires heads down, focus, and attention. All right, writing a report, analyzing data, going step by step over a strategy. Those of you on the call who are writers know that at the moment that you sit down to write, your butt hits the seat, your fingers hit the keyboard, the whole universe begins conspiring for ways to distract you. So you want to do your writing at your moment of highest vigilance, least distractibility. For most of us, that's early in the day during the peak. During the trough, early to mid-afternoon, we joke about it. I need some sugar. I need some coffee. The evidence is overwhelming. That is a terrible time of day. There are huge decrements in performance all across the board, in education, in corporate performance, especially in healthcare. And so what you want to do during that middle part of the day when you're at your worst is do your administrative work, answering routine emails, filling out expense reports. Then recovery period is a very interesting period for most of us. Late in the afternoon, early in the evening, our mood is back up, but our vigilance is not. So that makes it a good time for what are called insight problems. Those are problems with non-obvious solutions, iterating new ideas, divergent thinking, coming up with solutions to non-obvious problems. And so we have a recipe for 80% of it, which is this. During your peak, early in the day, do your analytic work, heads down, focused work. During the trough, that middle period of the day, do your administrative work. During the recovery, late afternoon, early evening, do things like brainstorming, iterating new ideas, things that require more creativity. Now, if you're a night owl though, the main thing, you're more complicated. If you're a night owl, you're a much more complicated human being than I am. If you're a night owl, you want to do your heads down analytic work in the evening, early evening, mid-evening, late into the evening. And a lot of corporate structures don't allow that very well. So what we have is a set of design principles: analytic in the peak, administrative in the trough, insight in the recovery. And unfortunately, we don't do that. I don't do that. For years, the first thing I did when I came into my office was check my email when I should be writing. I have this very small period of day when I'm hyper vigilant, and I squandered a third of it by answering email. So that's some tips on how you can, if you have a little bit more sovereignty over your day. And the main point here is that our brain power doesn't remain constant over the course of a day. It changes. It changes in material ways. And so you can get a little extra edge if you do the right stuff, at the right time. And what I would say, again, recognizing that it's very difficult out there, particularly with people who have little kids at home, is also, go for small wins. Go for small wins. So the idea is, so it's I'm saying, do all your analytic work during that peak period. If you've got like 2 or 3 little kids running around and you have to do analytic work, if you get an hour during the morning to do that focus work, that's a victory. Declare victory over that. Go for those small wins. But we do have the set. But the point is that we have a set of design principles where you'll get more work done and better work done if you move to do the right work at the right time.